Welcome to Amy Kardashian and the Expert Show, where the experts share their knowledge, wisdom, and powerful insights to help you transform your business and personal life. I am your host, Amy Kardashian, not Kardashian. In this segment, I have an amazing guest. I am so proud to have Dr. Susan Johnson Cook. She is an ambassador, presidential advisor, author, keynote speaker, and minister, and much more. If I have to introduce Dr. Susan, tell you exactly everything she have done, it will take me probably the whole show right here. But today we are going to talk about what goes on behind the scenes of a presidential advisor's life. What goes behind. I am so blessed to have you with me today.
Thank you so much. It's a blessing and an honor to be with you too. Thank you. So
well,
powerful women together.
Oh, I appreciate that
Yeah.
so much. I really do appreciate that. I met you in New York.
Yes.
When you were speaking for breakfast for the Women's Federation for World Peace.
Yes. How awesome that was.
It was amazing event. I mean, I am part of the Women's Federation
Yes.
for World Peace, and I love their organization. I inspire everyone to connect with them. They're amazing.
Yes.
And having amazing ladies such as yourself is speaking in the morning, you just touch my heart.
Thank you. Well, it's so great to
And
come
you
in.
spoke from the heart.
Yes, I think that's what it is, about heart to heart, and we connected at the heart.
Yes.
I mean, to see 150 women at 10 in the morning was amazing, and the energy in the room was just awesome from all over the world.
But you lift us up.
Yeah,
You
well-
did lift us up.
But I think, it's so important because we lift each other. It's the energy in the room. I mean, we're both speakers. And, when you have a charged up room and they're feeding back and asking questions, and they were great questions,
Yeah.
then it just accelerates the energy. So I was just blessed to meet you and so many of the world leaders.
Thank you. That was really an honor.
Thank you.
Now, I wanted to ask you, because this segment is about, what goes behind your life when
Yes.
you're an ambassador or advisor, a presidential advisor.
Right.
But I would like to go into your story. How did you get there in the first place? Can you
Sure.
start that with tell us?
Well, I'm working on a book, Dorothy's Daughter, because I am the daughter of two parents. My late parents, Dorothy C. and Wilbert T. Johnson, were sharecroppers in this generation, which meant they worked the fields of the South. My mother was from North Carolina. My father was from Virginia. But they understood that the fields were not their destiny.
Mm-hmm.
So they had this tenacity and this vigor that we're getting out of these fields. And so my mother, in those days, it was in the 50s, the only way an African-American woman could get out of the fields was either to become a teacher or a nurse. Those were really the two options.
Wow.
And so she went north to school and became a teacher, and went back to the South and picked all of her nephews and nieces and cousins, got them out of the field. She taught them in a one-room schoolhouse. Then she came north and met my father, and they had us. So I had just this wonderful parentage that believed that failure is not an option. And so we were always, success was around us, success was in front of us, so success surrounded us, whether it was in our church setting. We went to church with the first black middle class judges. They were becoming judges and lawyers and doctors, and we'd be sitting in church and they'd say to me, "So where are you going to college?" And I'd be like 5 or 6 years old. We weren't talking about an adult.
Yeah.
And I said, "I'm just getting ready to read," and they wanted to know what I was reading, whether it was Dr. Seuss, but it was always, what are you reading? What are you doing with your time? And where are you going? Where are you headed? So before us were always success options. And so because of that, it really does take a village. My village was successful.
Nice.
And it made me soar.
Wow, that is amazing. Yes, it takes a village. And now sometimes I was on a panel the other day, and we were talking about all that. So there's a lot of families, they really cannot help their kids.
Right.
It takes all of us to help the families if they're weak in that area to really help their kids if they're not able to.
Yes.
But now it's about your story. So continue. Tell me then what happened.
So my parents had 2 children. I had an older brother, Charles, and myself. We both finished finished high school at 16, and so we entered college very young, again on the accelerated track. And so we both graduated. I graduated at 19, which gave me a couple of years on my friends and peers to kind of sort out really what I wanted to do. So I went in Hollywood and show business. I was a speech and theater major. I toured with a musical theater company while I got my master's degree, and then I landed a job in television in Washington, D.C. I started on the floor crew, which is where you clean up and set up the props and everything, and worked my way up to producer, and then worked my way to various stations because again there weren't that many African American producers. So we were really a commodity, and people wanted us all over. So I went from New York to Miami to Boston, back to New York, and really had an incredible career, but at the same time was dealing with my call to ministry. I had met a woman, I was at 13 years old, and I've met my first woman minister. Her name is Katie Cannon. She's in Richmond, Virginia. And so the possibility that might be a calling for me kind of leaped in my heart. But you know, as a teenager, you still are doing all the teenage stuff. But when I got to my second television stop in Washington, D.C., I started taking courses in divinity at Howard Divinity School. So I would work by day in television, and you know those are long hours, and at night I was taking seminary courses, and I finally said, you know what, I'm called to ministry.
Nice.
And I had a dynamic experience, church experience, both in Boston and in Washington, and accepted my call. And from the moment I said yes, my ministry accelerated. And so all the people in the media and all my friends from my village all said, we're going to support you. You know, you're different. You know, we weren't expecting you to go into ministry, but you're our child.
Well, so you started, you felt it when you were 11, you put it on the side, of course you couldn't start it, but then you knew to go back to that.
I knew to go back to that.
Because it's in the heart.
It's in the heart, and you know, a calling, I mean, many people, you can't really define it, but it is an insatiable desire to please God. And when I was in college, we went to this wonderful church, St. Paul AME Church, African Methodist Episcopal Church, and I was in a church filled with college students who were brilliant. They were scientists, they were astronauts, and their faith was important to them, getting good grades. It wasn't square to be smart. And then, you know, it was Afrocentric. So here I had my culture affirmed, I had my academics confirmed, and then I had my faith confirmed. And so I felt the freedom, religious freedom. I felt the freedom to articulate my call. And from that moment, I just really had wonderful mentors and pioneers as I became this trailblazing Baptist preacher. You know, there weren't any women before me that I could model. So the older men took me under their wing as their daughter.
They knew it. They felt it.
Yes, they did.
Okay, so when we come back, we're going to continue what happened, and how did you know, where you're at now with the ministry.
I'd love that
as well. Okay,
we'll
be right back in a few seconds.
Are you frustrated and wasting time searching for high-quality education and entertainment and not finding it? Stop wasting your time. We've got your solution. Our 3 dynamic and unique online TV shows provide you with high-quality and easy-to-find content. Everything from business skills and self-development to book and movie reviews and everything in between. At akexpertstv.com, you'll find high-quality experts in their field in one place at no cost to you. Visit www.akexpertstv.com today.
We're here with Dr. Susan. She's an ambassador, presidential advisor, author, and a minister. So right now we're talking about the minister part of the story, and it's such an inspirational. So we want to continue with the conversation, and then we'll move on to other subject. Okay, so tell us, continue about your ministry.
So I had great men, older fathers in the faith, who really fathered me in the traditional sense, where they took me under their wing as their daughter, their spiritual daughter, opened up opportunities for me, and with their presence in my life, it kept all all the naysayers and the people who were haters,
no.
they were like, you can't get to her. You know, take it somewhere else. But this is our daughter. And when people, there was like the late Dr. Gardner C. Taylor, who was considered the dean of preachers. He was like the black Billy Graham. And Dr. Wyatt T. Walker, and my late pastor, Ollie Wells, they stood by me. They prepared me for ordination. They gave me opportunities that were great. And so from having a platform, other people get to see you. Just as you have a show, other people get to see you, get to hear you. The fear, erases, because they're like, something's happening with this young woman.
But do you think God was speaking through them?
I think so.
Was God was taking it, because God speak through me and you and
Yes.
everybody if we listen to it.
If we listen.
And I believe God spoke through them and
Yes.
say, don't allow anyone to stop this girl. She have a gift.
Exactly.
And we could see that, and they were listening.
Exactly.
What a blessing that is.
Yeah, I became the first female president of the Hampton Ministers Conference, which is the largest clergy conference in the world, about 10,000 preachers. There was a man who's still alive, Dr. A.C.D. Vaughn, and a past president, his name was Dr. Green. And he said, I want to live to see you be the first lady president. Because,
Wow.
and he lived,
Oh.
and he laid hands on me, and he and Dr.
Wow.
Vaughn. But they took the blows. They basically went in and said to the men, it's her time.
It's
And
her
so,
time.
and you can't fight God.
No.
So leave her alone and let's make this happen. And the conference grew, and the respect level was incredible, and it was a wonderful 4-year tenure.
Wow, that's like God's word.
Definitely God's
Absolutely
word.
God's word.
Yes,
We
yes.
both understand what that means, right?
Yeah,
It's
but
just that you feel it.
You can feel it, and every opportunity that comes, it's of God. I mean, there's a scripture that says, this was marvelous in God's sight, and you know that God's hand was upon it. Even with my confirmation to become U.S. Ambassador for International Religious Freedom, it was really a position for the conservatives that was written into Congress, into legislation. And it was the conservative community, which were basically white men, Republicans, who actually embraced me and said, let us help you. They said, I feel God's heart speaking through
Here
you.
you go again.
They
It's
said
a
that.
God speaking.
Yes.
He's really, literally opening the doors for you.
Totally.
And no one could close that door.
Absolutely
It
not.
happened to me, and I understand that.
Yeah, I mean, your
It's
story is
just like-
incredible too, because you come from a child of
Wow.
war to look where you are now, and
It's not our
it was
work,
not
it's-
easy. It was definitely the hand of God upon our lives. So I always give honor. I take time in the morning for devotional.
Nice.
I really still move. There's a scripture again that says, in him we live, move, and have our being. So my thing is, my life is in God's hands.
Now, from there, you started to, you went from being a minister,
Yes.
right?
Well, yeah, you're
And-
always a minister for life, but from being a pastor.
Pastor, okay. And then also you did a show. Which show you did? Which one you produced?
I produced, for WJLA TV, I produced a show called Headliners, which was, whoever was in the headlines coming through Washington, D.C. at that time. So there were congresspersons and so there was a cameraman named Jack who was always, they used to have headphones back then, and he rolled over to me. He says, one day you're going to be in that seat as a headliner.
Wow.
And I was like,
You're like,
what? And so that happened, and then I have a show now that's online that's called Conversations with Ambassador Sujay.
Wow.
And I talk to all the wonderful people I've met along the journey, and I hope to have you on as well.
Sure,
But it's
of
a
course.
YouTube show, and people can subscribe to Ambassador Sujay,
Nice.
Sujay, and just really, I want to spread the wonderful experiences and exposure that I've had with as many people as I can touch.
Sure, you inspired them.
Yes.
Right?
Well,
So-
I now have what I say my brand is. Instead of Chief Executive Officer, I say I'm CIO, Chief Inspirational Officer.
Oh,
and that's what my
nice.
brand is
Very
now.
nice.
Yes.
So when don't go anywhere. When we come back now, if you're watching live, stay with us. And if you're watching later on the pre-recorded one, I encourage you to go and watch segment 2, which we are going to go on segment 2 right now. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jamie Lee Metz, CEO and founder of Skin Fitness here in Las Vegas. We've been serving Las Vegas for over 17 years. We're proud to announce we just won 2017 Spa of the Year by Image International. That's the skincare company of the Miss Universe pageant. We offer exclusive treatments like our Time Eraser facial, which uses multiple modalities and literally erases time. Our Pore Purge, which is the ultimate in hygiene, and our Fire and Ice facial, which literally removes and soothes the skin at the same time. Come see us at our new location here in Village Square. We look forward to seeing you soon.